brought the lighter, but I think the wind has already stolen the flame. Are you still out there in the gray? Or are you just another trick of the light? I know we are impossible. The street lamps are glowing like drowned golden pearls in a city that's spinning in slow, dizzy swirls. The 1940s are a suit that no longer fits, a puzzle of shadows blown into bits. I'm leaning against the damp brick wall, waiting for the sky or the curtain to fall. The whistle is a ghost on a one-way track, leaving the wharf with no looking back. The silver anchor is a neon-lit scar, reflecting the ghost of a cold, distant star. My coat is a shadow, my breath is a cloud, walking through silence that screams far too loud. The scent of old bourbon and wet, rotten pine, crossing the border, crossing the line. I've got a suitcase of echoes and a heart made of glass, watching the ghosts of the waterfront pass. Tempo drags, becoming heavy and sultry. The saxophone let out a low. The salt and the smoke is a bittersweet song for the rights we made right and the rights we made wrong. The whistle is a whisper, a low down moan for the secrets we've kept and the seeds we've sown in the crackle of the needle, in the hiss of the tide, where there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. The lighthouse is searching with a cold white eye, pulling the truth from a charcoal sky. The clinking of bottles in a dark alleyway, the price that we promised we'd never quite pay. The 1930s are a photograph burned at the edge, a desperate leap from a crumbling ledge. I'm a silhouette dancing on a rusted out pier. The only man left with nothing to fear. The fog is a velvet that smothers the sound of the secrets we buried deep in the ground. We're lost in the static, we're lost in the haze, trapped in the loop of these noir-colored days. Let the ocean embrace what the city let go, while the river runs black and the heavy winds blow. The pier is a ghost bridge, the end is in sight, in the hollowed out heart of a long, lonely night.
The docks have a way of remembering what the city tries to forget. Out here, the mist doesn't just hide the view. It hides the truth. You see that shadow shifting near the lighthouse? That's not a man waiting for a boat. That's a man waiting for an answer. And in this town, answers usually come with a heavy price. But we've always liked the expensive things, haven't we?
The fog rolls in like a funeral shroud, muffling the heart of the midnight crowd. The rain on the wharf is a cold, sharp stiletto, echoing deep in this harbor ghetto. The nine-tuned heart is our ghost in the glass, watching the ghosts of the merchant class. I'm leaning back in the salt-stained dark, looking for a flame, but finding no spark. The neon flicker of the blue lagoon howls a dirge to a paper moon. My coat is a fortress, my hat is a shield against the secrets that the tides have unsealed. The smell of wet wool and the brine of the deep, awakening the sins that the sailors keep. I've got a pocket of lead and a mind full of ink, standing on the pier right on the brink. Oh, the shadow on the pier is a heavy grace, a silhouette lost in a nameless place. The sax is a whisper, for the weight of the silence we're forced to bear in the mist and the salt, where the memories coil, waiting for the wick to run out of oil. The lighthouse sweep is a judgmental glare, slicing through the thick tobacco air. The clank of a mooring, the creak of a crane, singing the chorus of the harbor's pain. The 1930s are a debt that was paid in a back alley room where the plans were laid. I'm a man of the shadows, a king of the keel, watching the tide take the evidence away. The fog is a wall that the sun can't climb, keeping us frozen in a moment of crime. We're adrift in the gray, we're lost in the swell, with a story that only the dead can tell. Let the waves swallow what the pavement won't hold, in a world that's gone gray and a heart that's gone cold. The pier is a long walk to a final goodbye, beneath the watchful gaze of a charcoal sky. A silhouette lost in a nameless place. The sax is a whisper, a low-down prayer for the weight of the silence we're forced to bear in the mist and the salt, where the memories coil, waiting for the wick to run out of
The distant, lonely sound of a foghorn echoes thrice. The saxophone plays a final, breathy, descending note. A match is struck, a long exhale of breath. Footsteps crunch on gravel, then stop. The sound of a heavy door closing.
The wind is a thief, tearing pages from the sky, while I sit with my shadow and watch the world die. No ivory keys to soften the blows, just the hiss of the storm and the embers low glow.
She stopped singing to whistle the melody again, more sharp and technical this time, over the sound of wind.
My cat is a statue carved out of night, waiting for the stars to give up their light. The 1940s are a record that's warped and blue, a message in static from me to you. I'm reading by the rhythm of a rattling pain, drowning my thoughts in the salt and the rain.
She whispers to the cat, "Do you hear that, little lion? The wind is calling our names, but we're not answering tonight."
The ink is a blur, the story is old. It's not cool. It's ever the toes. Oh, whistle through the crackle, let the needle just slide. There's a hurricane coming and nowhere to hide. In the blue of the midnight, in the roar of the gale, we're the only two left to tell a whole tale. A woman, a feline, and a windblown sigh under a heavy night painted sky. The tea is a memory, the candle is low, but we've got 1,000 more pages to go. The world outside is a black and white blur, but I've got the rhythm of a steady deep purr.
She whispers, page 300, they're lost in the fog now. Just like us. Just like us.
One hand on the emerald, one hand on the prose. How the storm will finish, only Lewin knows. Is silence in this room has a weight to it tonight. It's 3 a.m. or maybe it's empty. Holy for the clock on the wall stopped moving, but I can still hear the pulse. It's a ribbon, mechanical ghost.
You see it too, don't you? That shadow by the wardrobe. It's just a memory trying to find its way home. Don't blink. If you blink, the 1950s might start. And I'm not ready for the future yet.
I'm reading about a man who sold his shadow for a velvet coat. Now he wanders through rain-slicked alleys, looking for a reflection that doesn't exist. The ink on this page, it's still wet.
Or maybe it's just the dampness of the night seeping into the paper. She didn't look back because the past was a house with no doors.
Stop staring at the ceiling, little shadow. There's nothing up there but dust and forgotten prayers. We're safe here in the anthracite hour, just us, the static and the stories that everyone else forgot to tell.
The needle is getting close to the center. I can feel the tension in the groove. If I don't finish this chapter before the music stops, will I still be here when the sun comes up?
It doesn't matter, the ending is always the same. The hero vanishes into the fog and the girl stays in the room with the cat.
Good night, Monroe. See you in the next century.
The clock is a liar and the calendar is a ghost. I'm sitting here counting the dust motes and lamp glow, waiting for the ink to tell me the truth. You see it too, don't you? The way the shadows on the wall are taller than the people who cast them. In 1947 we didn't need the sun. We had the static, we had the fist bursts. I'm reading a story about a woman who disappeared into a gramophone. Every time the needle skips, she loses a piece of her name. Don't look at the window, the 1950s are trying to get in with their bright lights and their loud televisions. We're staying here where the air smells like cedar and old secrets. I'm whispering to the margins now. If I write my name in the dust on this table, will the wind carry it back to where we started? There is a cipher in the way the record scratches. It's a code for the lonely. It says, stay in the blue, stay in the blur. One more
arrow doesn't find the key, by the time the needle hits the center, then neither will we. Close the book, the words are starting to bleed into the carpet. Good night, Monroe. The static is our blanket now.
The street lamp is weeping in a pool of gold, a story of shadows that's never been told. I'm leaning on a memory, thin as a ghost. To the things that I've lost, I'm raising a toast. The city is a blueprint of secrets and lies, under the heavy weight of velvet black sky. The perfume of rain and a cheap bitter gin. Where does the night end and the dreaming begin? I've got a ticket to nowhere tucked in my glove, a casualty of time and a casualty of love. The saxophone is a stranger that knows me too well, ringing my heart like a cracked silver edge. Oh, dance with me slowly in the 1950s haze, before the sun burns through these shellac days. The needle is dragging, the rhythm is slow. We're caught in the echoes of a long time ago. It's a noir kind of magic, a static film blue. The last dance at the cafe, just me and you. A stray cat is watching from a fire escape as the fog starts to take on a human-like shape. The billboards are faded, the theaters are dark, but in this old record there's still a small spark. My silk dress is whispering a name I forgot in a plot that the writer of history forgot. One hand on the railing, one foot in the past, a beautiful moment that's spinning too fast. The shadows are long and the morning is cruel in this game of nostalgia. I'm a well-dressed fool, but turn up the volume, let the cinders fall down. I'm the queen of the ghosts in this silent town. Trunk is a witness I'm not ready to meet. I'm still tracing circles on this empty street. The vinyl is warped, but the song is the same. A flickering candle, a flickering flame, just a fragment of velvet, a splinter of light. The loneliest girl in the world too.
the cold winter breeze, the scent of old leather and memories that freeze. My patent leather heels click-clack on the floor, searching for a feeling I can't find anymore. I've chosen the crackle, I've chosen the haze, to lose myself forever in these shellac days. Lexicon of shadows is written in the dust, between the iron logic and the creeping of the rust. I'm a pilot in the parchment, a sailor in the ink, standing on the edge of a 1930s spring. My obsidian companion, with a gaze of frozen fire, purring like an engine through a vintage copper wire. The 1950s are a monolith, cold and miles away, but here the amber flickering is the only kind of day. I'm decoding every sentence by the static on the glass, watching the parade of the forgotten centuries pass. Don't mind the shutters, my love, they're just jealous of our silence. The ink is a conduit, the paper is a veil, caught in the teeth of a midnight blue gale. Hey, whistle to the needle, let the shellac start to bleed. The wind is the only company we're ever gonna need. In the hollow of the record, in the heart of the storm, we're keeping the memory of the 19 Ford and it's warm. A woman, a cipher and a tale like a ghost. To the end of the world, I'm raising a toast. You hear a match strike and a long, satisfied exhale. The cat lets out a sharp chirp and she whispers, almost at the reveal, can you feel the plot thickening? The tea's a bitter relic, the lamp is dying fast, but we're the only ones who made the feeling last. The world is a frequency that we finally untuned, in a room where the memories have all been exhumed. Final chapter. Let's see if the hero makes it out of the fog. One hand on the obsidian, one hand on the bone. In a universe of static, I am never alone. The 19 taters look different from 6 stories up. Just a sea of charcoal hats and glowing cigarette ends. I'm reading that same chapter again, the one where the detective realized the secret was just a shadow he cast himself. Stay still, little lion. The wind is just looking for a place to sleep. It's not looking for us. Picks up the past, or maybe I'm the one who's out of tune with the present. I'm driving toward the shore looking for a frequency that doesn't exist anymore. A glass of white wine and a heavy book, my only witnesses. They say you can't outrun a memory, even in a trying, only Monroe, we're trying. The water is black ink tonight. If I stepped into it, would I turn into a story? He looked at me like that, the book says. A look that could stop a clock. I wonder if anyone looks at the stars that way anymore, or if they're all too busy looking for a place to hide from the rain. The needle is getting tired, the groove is shallow. I think it's time to close the ledger and let the 19th diffies wait one more night. City, good night, shadows. Signing off for now. The night is moving like molasses. Flee in the morning, and the only thing breathing in this city is the wind against the glass. It's a strange thing, isn't it? How a book can feel heavier when the sun goes down. Each word is a brick building a wall between us and the memory. Don't look so worried. The 90 pippies are a world away. We're still tucked into the seams of the 40s, where the tea is cold and the stories never really end. I'm on the chapter where the detective realizes he's chasing his own shadow. Good night, Monroe.
He always said the city was a graveyard of dreams, and tonight I'm just another ghost wandering the roads. The fog is thick enough to drown in the pier. The pier feels like the edge of the world. Do you hear that? The silence is finally louder than the memories. The street lamp is a blur in the charcoal mist. A pale yellow eye that the darkness has kissed. My collar is turned against the bite of the salt, bringing the ghosts of the quay to a halt. The 1940s are a ship that's listing to port. A long-distance dream that was cut far too short. I'm tracing the shadows with a silver-tipped cane, listening to the rhythm of the city's refrain. A flicker in the glass, watching the dregs of the midnight class. A black umbrella is my only friend as I walk to the place where the cobblestones end. The smell of wet wool and the grease of the tide, the places where men and their secrets all hide. I've got a heart full of lead and a pocket of tin, waiting for the tide to bring the truth back in. Oh, the whistle on the pier is a refuses to ever be found. The sax is a moan, a low-down plea for the man I was and the ghost I'll be. In the crackle of the dust, in the hiss of the rain, we're just two shadows sharing the pain. The lighthouse beam is a sweeping white light, searching for stars in a soot-covered sky. The clink of the chains on a rusted out hull, the distant mocking cry of a harbor 1930s are buried in a shallow, wet grave, with the promises we made and the souls we didn't save. I'm a man with no name, in a world with no light, setting my course for the belly of the night. The fog is a curtain that won't ever rise, hiding the truth from our heavy, tired eyes. We're caught in the current, we're lost in the swell, between the deep ocean and a city made hell. Let the waves take the stories the pavement won't tell, while the clock in the tower rings a final farewell. The pier is a bridge to a place far from here, where the water is deep and the silence is clear.
The whistle on the tears, a lonely sound, a secret that refuses to ever be found.
The sax is a moan, a low-down plea for the man I was and the ghost I'll be, in the crackle of the dust, in the hiss of the rain. We're just two shadows sharing the pain. The distant lonely sound of a foghorn echoes thrice. A saxophone plays a final breathy descending note. A match is struck, a long exhale of breath. Footsteps crunch on gravel, then
Ink is a river on a page of antique gold. Another world is waking, or so I am told. Outside the 1940s are sleeping in the rain, while I'm tracing the lines of a stranger's refrain. She whispers, "Do you hear that little shadow?" The city is finally quiet, just us and the ghost now. My feline accomplice with eyes like emerald glass, watching the velvet shadows of the midnight pass. The lamp is a halo in this paper-lined mess, where the worries of daylight are laid to their rest. The scent of old cedar and expensive French soap, a quiet collection of mischief and hope.
The sound of pages flipping quickly. She mutters, he shouldn't have opened that envelope.
Oh, but curiosity's a velvet trap, isn't it? We're safe in the scabbard for a less spring leaf. Let the warmth of a rim steady her. Oh, spin the chalet, let the needle just weep while the rest of the century is buried in sleep. Between the printed lines and the crackle of the track, there's a secret doorway and no turning back. A woman, a book, and a shadow on the floor. Who could ever ask for anything more? I wonder if she ever found that sapphire, the one hidden in the lining of the trunk. The cat lets out a tiny sleepy mew and she responds, "Shh, almost there, my love." Let's see how it ends. The sound of a match striking and a soft, long exhale. The tea is gone cold, but the mystery is hot in a plot that the modern world simply forgot. The clock on the mantle is a rhythmic machine, measuring the space of the in-between. The 1950s are waiting behind the blue door, but we're staying right here on this 1945 floor.
I've often wondered if the sun simply forgot the coordinates to this particular corner of the world, or if we slipped so far between the grooves of this record that the morning can no longer find us in the dark. It feels as though the 19 Fiatis are no longer a date on a calendar, but a physical weight, a velvet shroud that keeps the modern world and its neon distractions at a safe, untouchable distance.
Do you hear the wave? The static seems to breathe tonight, Monroe. It's not just white noise, it's a language composed of every word ever whispered and then forgotten. A ghost frequency that carries the scent of cedar wood and old regrets across the miles of cable. I'm staring at these yellowed pages, but the ink seems to be migrating, shifting into shapes that tell a story far more dangerous than the one the author originally intended to write. He stood on the rain-slicked platform, the book says, clutching a ticket for a train that had departed 20 years before he was even born.
suppose I know that feeling better than I'd like to admit. This peculiar sensation of waiting for a moment that has already turned into gray smoke and drifted out over the harbor.
I think I'll stay here in the blur, where the jazz is always blue and the shadows are long enough to hide the things we aren't ready to face just yet. The future's a bright, cold, and lonely place that doesn't have nearly enough room for a woman, a cat, and a story that refuses to find its ending.
Don't look at the clock on the mantle, my little shadow. Time is nothing more than a frequency we finally learned to untune. A ghost that can no longer haunt us as long as the needle stays in the groove. The needle is hitting the inner ring now, and the circle is closing in on us tighter and tighter until there's nothing left but the hiss. One last chapter for the ghosts who stayed behind, and then we'll let the static take the rest. Good night to everyone still lost in the transmission. Good night to everyone still lost in the transmission.
Sound of a match striking, followed by a soft whoosh as a candle or lamp is lit. A very heavy, dusty vinyl crack begins, thick enough to feel like a physical presence. The rain outside is a steady, muffled roar. You hear the soft thump of a cat jumping onto a wooden table.
The woman whispers, "Welcome back, you midnight prowler. Did you find what you were looking for in the shadows?" The deep rhythmic purring starts. A muted underwater trumpet begins a slow, mournful melody. The spine of the book is a weary old friend, a story that starts where the modern world ends. The 1920s are breathing through the cracks in the wall as the shadows grow long and the tea leaves fall.
She murmurs to herself,
Page 442,
he looked at the city.
it's only a ghost. I know that feeling, don't I? I'm decoding the ink by a flicker of light. the tail like a whip, watching the silver blue moonlight slip. He's the keeper of secrets, the lord of the rug, safe in the warmth of a velvet par's hug.
She chuckles softly.
Stop staring at the moth, darling. It's just another dreamer lost in the glow. The piano is dusty, the notes are all blurred, echoing softly without saying a word. The audio quality dips and swells, mimicking an old slightly warped record. The bass is deep and boxy, and the snare drum is just a faint brush's only whisper. Oh, spin the shellac, let the static run deep, while the rest of the 19th impis are buried in sleep. Between the yellowed margins and the needle's long track, we've found a sanctuary and we're never going back. An emerald eye and a story to tell, caught in the ring of a midnight bell.
You hear the sound of a heavy porcelain cup being set down on a saucer. A sharp clink. She whispers, what if the ending isn't a tragedy? What if they just vanished into the fog? The cat lets out a long, sleepy yawn. The vinyl pops become more frequent, sounding like distant footsteps on gravel.
The ink is a map to a place I once knew, where the jazz was all gold and the nights were all blue. One hand on the feline, one hand on the prose. How the story will finish, only the gramophone knows.
She sighs.
Almost at the end, just like us, little shadow. Almost at the end of the night. We're fragments of velvet, we're splinters of soul, in a world that's been broken but finally whole.
Fog is a blanket, the moon is a dime. I'm falling through cracks in the floorboards of time. A ghost in a tuxedo, a girl in a veil, leaving a ghostly and glittering trail. The world is a radio, tuned to a hiss, lost in the static of a long ago kiss. My lipstick is darker than the secrets I keep, while the rest of the 1900s are buried and deep. The streetlights are blinking like tired old eyes, watching the smoke from my cigarette rise. I'm a shadow on stone, I'm a breath on the glass, watching the ghost of the century pass. Making it sound even more boxed in and vintage. The snare drum is played with heavy brushes, creating a constant rhythm that blends with the vinyl crackle. Oh, play it again, let the needle just slide. There's nowhere to run and there's nowhere to hide, in the velvet of midnight, in the hiss of the rain, We're dancing a waltz with a beautiful pain. It's a shellac heartbeat of instant desire, walking through smoke in a flickering fire. The villas are sleeping, the shutters are drawn, but I'll be the one who stays up for the dawn. A jazz band is playing in a basement of dreams. Nothing is ever as real as it seems. The trumpet is dusty, the singer is tired, but our hearts are still rhythmic and highly inspired. The 19th thieves are calling from over the hill, but I'm standing here perfectly still. One hand on a bottle, the other on fate, in a world that is closed and a world that is late. I'm a fragment of rhythm, a splinter of soul, a record that's broken but finally whole. The dawn is a whisper, a pale shade of gray, chasing the ghosts of the nighttime away. But I'll hide in the sleeve of this old record jacket, away from the world and its modern day racket. One last turn of the crank, one last spin of the wheel. I'm finally finding a way to be real. Midnight strikes and the needle finds a groove in this dusty theater where the shadows never move. I'm a black and white dream in a technicolor world, a string of broken secrets like a necklace of pearls. The hiss of the radio is a ghost lullaby underneath the charcoal 90 hard sky. The neon sign is flickering, tired and low, painting the sidewalk with a whiskey-colored glow. The piano keys are yellowed like a letter never sent, a melody of heartache and a life well spent. I'm sipping on the silence of a forgotten era where the music was warmer and the vision was clearer. Oh, spin the shellac, let the muffled horns cry while the ghosts of the ballroom pass us by. There's a secret in the static, a story in the scratch, a vintage kind of fire that a modern heart can't match. A velvet breath, a muffled sigh in the 1940s where I'll live and I'll as if coming through a gramophone horn. It's breathy and slightly out of tune. In a beautiful, haunting way, you hear the occasional pop and click of a vintage record. Lace curtains dancing with a cold winter breeze, the scent of old leather and memories that freeze. My patent leather heels click-clack on the floor, searching for a feeling I can't find anymore. I've chosen the crackle, I've chosen the haze, to lose myself forever in these shellac days. The stars are just holes in a velvet lined box. I'm picking the chains and I'm picking the locks. The calendar's lying, the clock is a cheat. I'm walking the rhythm of a 1940th street. My coat is a shadow, city of millions, I'm dancing alone. The perfume of cedar and old yellow news. I'm wearing the night like a pair of silk shoes. The streetcars are ghosts on a track made of rain, tracing the maps of an old-fashioned pain. The saxophone's breathing is heavy and slow, like a secret I whispered a lifetime ago. Oh, stay in the blue hour, don't let it fade, in the beautiful mess that the shadows have made. The needle is heavy, the vinyl is deep, while the rest of the world is a lifetime asleep. It's a 1950s fever, a 1950s chill, where the music is moving and the city is still. The spotlight is dying in a corner of dust, turning the silver to memories and rust. The ghosts in the balcony are clapping for more, as I sweep up the starlight from the ballroom floor. My signature's written in smoke on the air, a woman of mystery with nothing to spare. The bridge is a silhouette against the dark tide, with nowhere to go and no reason to hide. I'm counting the clicks of the record's long spin,
stay far away.
No long was a strange city, but the wind knows the shortcut.
The spine of this book is cracking like a dry bone, in a language that only the shadows have known. I'm whispering to the margins, I'm talking to the ink, standing on a 1940s precipice, right on the brink.
Wait, did I read that page already? Or did the book read me?
The fire in the hearth is a dying orange eye, watching the charcoal velvet clouds drift by. My feline familiar with a shadow for a soul, watching the static and the silver dust roll. A sudden loud grunt of the low followed by her sharp intake of breath. The 1950s are a dream that I'm choosing to ignore, while I pace the crooked floorboards of 1944.
Stop looking at the door. There's no one there. At least no one with a pulse.
The whistling is a wire, the whistling is a cage. Trap me in the rhythm of this yellow dusty page. Whistle through the winter, let the shellac start to burn. Every secret in the world is waiting for its turn. In the hollow of the static, in the ghost-filled room, we're weaving a tapestry on a vintage iron loom. A woman, a whisper, and a whistle in the dark, waiting for the silence to ignite a tiny spark.
The wind reaches a fever pitch, sounding like a flute. The woman begins an intense, bird-like whistle solo that is incredibly fast and technical underneath. You hear the sound of heavy pages being ripped slowly. She whispers rapidly, 7, 8, 9. The clock is backwards. The ink is wet. The cat is watching the ceiling. Don't look up. Never look up. A match strikes, and the sound of a long, shaky exhale.
The tea is a black lake reflecting only me, the last living relic of a lost century. The 1940s are a fever that refuses to break, a beautiful muffled indented mistake.
She sighs. Only 10 pages left.
Then the story takes us with it. One hand on the obsidian, one hand on the ghost,
to the things that haunt us most. I'm raising our The antenna is reaching for a star made of lead to capture the words that were never quite said. I'm a signal in transit, a pulse in the dark, searching the night for a vintage red spark. The 1940s are humming a low, steady tune under the glow of a charcoal gray moon. My dress is made of shadows and old radio wire, walking a tightrope of smoke and desire. The city is muffled like it's under a lake, full of the hearts that were destined to break. The piano is playing from a room far away, drowning the noise of the coming on day. Sound like a distant memory. I'll tune in the silence, let the static just roll. It's a 1940s fever and a 1950s soul. The needle is dragging through the dust of the years, mixing the whiskey with vintage blue tears. It's a shellac heartbeat, a crackle-filled sigh in the city of ghosts where the songs never die. The barman is polishing a glass made of ice, while the gamblers are shaking their ivory dice. But I'm in the corner where the light doesn't reach, with a lesson in longing that I'm ready to teach. The saxophone's moaning is a beautiful blur, a gift from the night to a woman like her. The trolley car bells are a ghost tambourine in a world that is painted in shades of sea green. I'm counting the seconds by the skip in the track, knowing there's no way of ever going back. One hand on the dial, one foot in the haze, living my life in these short-wave days. The sound of a match being struck, and a long, slow exhale of breath is heard. The vinyl pops are intensified here, sounding like small fireworks in the distance. Dawn is a static that I'm trying to kill, but the ghosts at the cafe are lingering still. The record is warped and the singer is gone, but the ghost in the music carries us on. A fragment of velvet, a splinter of light, the luckiest girl in the world tonight.
stuck on a loop, and we're the only ones who can hear the skip in the record.
Little shadow, the static is louder than the city tonight. It's a language made of dust and forgotten names. I'm reading this page, but the words keep vanishing before I can reach the end. He stood on the platform, the book says, waiting for a train that left 20 years ago. I know that feeling, waiting for a moment that's already turned into smoke. I think I'll stay here where the ink is always wet and the jazz is always blue. The future is too bright, too loud. It doesn't have enough shadows.
Don't look at the clock. Monroe time is just a frequency we've finally learned to untune.
The needle is hidden in a ring. The circle is closing. One last chapter for the ghosts.
The needle is dancing on a floor of black wax, while the moonlight is tracing the tire tracks. The city is a blur of neon and rain, a vintage melody for a modern day pain. The dashboard is glowing like an old heaven sign, marking the border of your world and mine.
Oh, spin me a dream on a broken machine in the spaces of silence that fall in between. The vinyl is hissing like the spray of the sea, setting the ghost of the 4040s free. We're driving in circles, we're caught in the spin, waiting for the morning to let the light in.
The scent of old paper and rain soaked leather, holding the pieces of the night together.
1940s are a scratch that won't go away. A beautiful haunting at the end of the day. Blessing of jazz or a beautiful curse. The road is a record that never will end. Just around the corner, just around the bend, I'm lost in the crackle, I'm part of the hiss. There is no goodbye, only a midnight kiss. The sound of the accordion fades into the distance. The saxophone plays one final low breathy note. The sound of a heavy rain shower starting. A single distant church bell chimes 4 a.m.
The world is too bright during the day, too loud, too rushed.
But in here the clock stopped in 1945. The shadows stay exactly where you put them. The scent of gardenias and aged brandy hangs in the air like a promise. It's not about where you're going anymore. It's about the elegance of standing still. Just you, the velvet, and a song that knows all your secrets. The chandelier is weeping tears of crystal and light. A frozen constellation in the middle of the night. Heavy velvet curtains shut the modern world away. In this room of golden shadows, it'll never be the day. The silver tray is polished, reflecting a ghost-lit face, moving through the silence with a slow and steady grace. My feline friend is curled upon a chair of royal blue, watching the cigarette smoke dance a slow motion pas de deux. The piano keys are yellow like a letter from the past, playing chords of longing that were always meant to last. A string of pearls is glowing against a dress of black lace, a timeless silhouette in this hallowed hidden place. Oh, spin the dusty shellac, let the midnight anthem rise under the watchful gaze of those ancient marble eyes. The saxophone is a ghost haunting the corners of the room, woven through the fabric of the jasmine and the gloom. We're caught in the amber, we're lost in the grain, a century of jazz to shield us from the rain. The grandfather clock is ticking, but the hands refuse to move, falling deeper, ever deeper, into the granite groove. the scent of old libraries and expensive French perfume, drifting like a phantom through this quiet, empty room. I sip my drink in silence while the brass instruments moan in a palace made of memories. I'm a queen upon a throne. The cello takes the lead, playing a haunting, soaring melody that feels both tragic and beautiful. You hear the distant sound of a telephone ringing, a vintage mechanical bell, but it goes unanswered. The Mediterranean is whispering through the open balcony door, a sound that's been repeating for 1,000 years or more. The city lights are diamonds spilled upon a cloth of silk, and the moon is hanging heavy like a drop of silver milk. I'm a fragment of history, I'm a heartbeat in the dark, holding on to the glow, protecting the final spark. The lighthouse lens is a giant silver eye, watching the ghosts of the ships passing by. Spiral stairs of iron and cold gray stone, a kingdom of thunder I claim as my own. The 90 hearters are a dial on a brass bound clock, while the ocean is breaking against the harbor rock. My golden-eyed friend is curled on a pile of maps, sleeping through the thunder and the lightning cracks. The scent of old salt and a pipe's cherry glow in a room where the clocks are all moving too slow. A velvet armchair and a glass of dark rum, waiting for the morning that will never quite come. Oh, let the shellac moan, let the needle go deep, while the rest of the world is falling to sleep. The clarinet is a sailor lost in the gray, whistling a tune for a long lost day. We're caught in the grain, we're part of the mist of midnight secret that the sun never kissed. The ink in the well is as black as the tide, with nowhere to go and nowhere to hide. sight of what it used to be. The wind is a ghost trying to open the door, but we don't live in that world anymore. A silk robe heavy with the scent of the night, turning in circles in the white sweeping light. I'm a fragment of jazz, I'm a heartbeat in time, committing a lonely, beautiful crime. The moon is a pale coin tossed into the bay, a silver reminder of a world far away. The stone of the balcony is cool beneath my hand, overlooking the shadows of a quiet sleeping land. A whitewash villa draped in ivy and thyme, where the midnight hour is a beautiful crime. My feline companion is a shadow on the rail, watching the lanterns of a distant lonely sail. The scent of the cypress and the wet evening earth, a world of mystery and a slow, dark rebirth. The 1940s are an echo in the spray of the deep, a promise we made and a promise we keep. Hey, let the shellac turn, let the heavy needle slide with the rhythm of the moon and the pull of the tide. The trumpet is a spirit wandering through the mist, a midnight encounter that the sun never kissed. We're caught in the static, we're part of the blue, in a palace of salt waiting only for you. Is blinking like a tired golden eye, scanning the border of the sea and the sky. A glass of dark sherry on a table of wrought iron, listening to the song of a long lost siren. The silk of my sleeve is a ghost in the breeze, moving to the music of the olive trees.
The music becomes very spatial. The trumpet plays high, lonely notes that echo as if bouncing off the stone walls of the villa. The double bass keeps a slow heartbeat-like rhythm. You hear the faint sound of a distant lighthouse foghorn.
The town is a cluster of diamonds in the dark, without a single soul. land without a single spark. I'm a queen of the terrace, a ghost of the shore, living a life that they don't lead anymore. The world is a record that is skipping a beat, while the salt and the silk in the darkness meet. The sea has a memory longer than any book. At this hour, it whispers in a language of salt and secrets. The air is heavy with jasmine, and the stars look like ice on a velvet cloth. We aren't just watching the night. We are part of it. A phantom in a silk gown, a ghost on a stone balcony, waiting for a moon that never sets. Tell a lot about a city by the way its shadows move under a street lamp. At 4 a.m., Mediterranean doesn't look like water. It looks like liquid ink waiting for someone to write a story in it. This car, she's a time machine. Every time I slide into these leather seats, the year 1945 isn't something in a history book. It's the scent of my perfume and the hum of the radio. The world out there is loud, hurried, and bright. But in here we take the long way. We let the cigarette smoke curl around the steering wheel like a secret. Don't check the map, my friend. Where we're going, the roads don't have names, only moods.
The wiper blades are heavy with the secrets of the mist. A midnight rendezvous that the sunlight never kissed. The chrome is a mirror, reflecting a ghost-lit town as I drive these lonely boulevards up and down. The 19 Horders are a dial on a brass-plated radio, playing the blues from a world we used to know. My feline companion is a statue of black coal with eyes like amber lanterns, reading my soul. One paw on the velvet, one ear to the wind, tracing the lines where the darkness has thinned. We're gliding past the villas and the shuttered cafe doors, counting the heartbeats on these salt-crusted shores. Let the smoke rise, let the chrome shine, cross the silver border of the midnight line. The saxophone is weeping for a love it never had. In a world that's beautiful, lonesome and mad, we're caught in the crackle, we're lost in the hiss, living for a moment as transient as this. The scent of expensive tobacco and rain-soaked stone, a kingdom of asphalt that I claim as my own. The dashboard lights are emeralds in the dark, igniting a memory, fanning a spark. The hills are sleeping like giants in the grave as I drive the ghost of the century away. The music swells, the piano plays high, teardrop notes while the saxophone stays low and growling. You hear the sound of the car accelerating. The engine pitch rises perfectly in tune with the saxophone's crescendo. The sound of wind rushing past the open window becomes part of the percussion.
in the belly of the night. I'm a fragment of velvet, I'm a splinter of time, committing the perfect, beautiful crime of staying behind while the clock moves ahead. Living the words that the jazz singers said. I'm sitting on the edge where the stone meets the sky, watching the world and its worries go by. My pearls are too heavy, I've tossed them aside, with nothing to fear and nothing to hide. A 90 heart is our record that's spinning too fast, a beautiful moment that's built not to last. My feline accomplice is stalking a star, wondering just how lucky we are. The scent of the sea and expensive French soap, a midnight cocktail of mischief and hope. I wanna jump over the roofs of the town and never, ever, ever come back down. Oh, spin the shellac, let the needle just dance. I'm taking the night and I'm taking a chance. The whistle is a secret, a wink in the dark, light in the shadows with a feminine spark. I'm a queen on a rooftop, a child in the soul, losing my mind and losing control. The villas are boring with their shutters locked tight while I'm having a party with the ghosts of the night. I'll whistle a melody to wake up the bay and chase all the serious people away. A silk scarf is fluttering, a banner of blue, a message of mischief from me to you.
The whistle becomes incredibly fast and technical, playing tag with the drum brushes. You hear the sound of a cocktail shaker being used and the ping of a crystal glass being tapped with a fingernail.
The dawn is a whisper I'm choosing to ignore. I'm looking for trouble and I'm looking for more. One hand on the chimney, the other on the moon, singing a bratty and beautiful tune. I'm a fragment of velvet, a splinter of light, the luckiest girl in the world tonight.
If the stars aren't bright enough tonight, I think I'll just send them back. This heat is far too demanding. I want the moon on a silver string, and my jazz on a heavy stone plate. Don't look at me like that. I've kicked off my shoes on the terrace floor. I don't wanna hear about the world anymore. My chiffon dress is a cloud of pale blue, doing exactly what I wanted to do. I'm eating cherries and spitting the stones while the saxophone plays in its velvet tones. My golden-eyed cat is a brat just like me, chasing the moss by the olive tree. The 1940s are a ribbon in my hair, tied with a shrug and a don't you dare stare. I want the ocean to stop its loud roar and bring all its treasures right to my door. Oh, spin the black record, let the needle skip and play. I'm tired of the sun and I'm bored of the day. The whistle is a bird that is far too proud, singing its secrets just a little too loud. I'm a spoiled little girl in a woman's lace, with a mischievous heart and a velvet face. The grandfather clock says it's time for bed, but I'll listen to the jazz in my garden instead. I want a necklace made of firefly light to wear through the hours of this humid night. If the wind doesn't blow, I'll simply complain until the sky brings me a sugar-sweet rain. The villas are sleeping so quiet and grand, but I've got the moonlight right in my hand. I'm a fragment of mischief, a spark in the gloom, filling with laughter every shadowy room. Don't try to catch me, I'm faster than sound, a spoiled little queen who refuses to be found.